As soon as I saw this was possible in Donkey Kong Bananza, I knew I needed to make it happen, and on a massive scale. I wanted to take the ability to destroy everything and choose a layer to absolutely demolish, leaving barely any scraps behind. What would I find? Would there be any weird interactions with any terrain left on the map? When surveying the layers to pick from, I settled on the Hilltop Layer, an outside layer made up of almost entirely destructible terrain, with plenty of lighting in differing locations. Little did I know, choosing this layer would bring upon hours and hours of work. However, the things I would come across and discover as a result of total destruction were actually pretty interesting. The best way to destroy terrain on a large scale in Donkey Kong Bananza is to use the Elephant Bananza transformation. This thing basically acts like a huge vacuum cleaner, and it absolutely obliterates any terrain in its path. So, with the layer decided and the destruction method chosen, it was time to get to work. I first ran around and decided where to start, and when viewing the map I saw it mostly in 4 sections, that being the spawn mountain, outer structures, middle dip of land, and the triple banana mountain. Next, I made a mental note of my gold and resources beforehand because I actually kind of wanted to see the result after the map was cleared. How much gold would I have? How many vanadium chips would I have? I knew that destroying the spawn mountain and banana mountain would take the longest, so I decided to start with the spawn mountain. Once my destruction began, I focused on tearing out these black chunks of indestructible rock. This stuff basically acts like a skeleton for the layer, and there wasn't much besides the spawn mountain and town that actually appeared in this level. After about 20 minutes of hardcore vacuuming, I was able to mostly clear the weird spawn tower that cuts off randomly. I was already just zoning out while doing this and hearing the elephant song on repeat over and over again. Eventually we made way to the town, and it was time for its destruction. All of these innocent rock people were in for a mess. Yeah, that was kind of easy. Turns out the town is basically sitting on top of a large indestructible rock, which was really nice and relieving considering the amount of raw mountain I had to dispose of near the spawn. When I checked the map to see progress, I noticed I was barely putting a dent in the map. To make myself feel better, I went ahead and destroyed some of the outer ring to basically make it look like I had done a lot more than what it really seemed like. After clearing the town, I got to work on the more boring parts, running around, clearing the grass and hills and stone. This is where I really went insane, but I also had a sudden realization. My Elephant Bananza was not fully upgraded. I was missing the secondary upgrades to both the lung capacity and the inhale strength. Increasing both of these would make the clearing process nearly double the speed, so I quickly dropped everything to find bananas around the level, and since I had already cleared a good amount of the level, I couldn't leave the layer to get more bananas or it would reset. So I actually found that the best way was to give the gold to the banana cactus and use all of my banana chips to get more bananas. Then I was able to fully upgrade the Elephant Bananza, which literally almost doubled the speed at which I was able to clear the rest of the map and saved me so much time. After that, my destructive journey continued. I would always get quickly bored of the areas I was destroying, so I found any excuse to move around. I would make random tunnels, throw rocks everywhere, or look for places I could find caves and tunnels that would make things more interesting. Occasionally I'd find floating bananas and just leave them there because I thought it was kind of funny to see it there. And this was my progress approximately 1 hour in. I had carved an outer ring around the map, nearly leveled the spawn mountain, and created a random crater in the middle of the layer. As you can see, I had no idea what the plan was. Then, of course, we have to go back to the epic time-lapse. It's kind of hard to fill this video with entertaining bits because 90% of my recording was spent aimlessly looking at chunks of dirt and sucking it up and hoping that this endless suffering would end. What you should be doing is subscribing to the channel to help ease my pain, however. It's free and only takes 2 seconds. Flash forward another hour or so, you could start to see some real noticeable progress being made. I had completely wiped out the starting half of the layer, and there was barely any trace left. The spawn mountain and town had been completely destroyed alongside most of the outer edges and the various structures that were there. This meant all I had left was the rest of the middle dip and the terrifying Banana Mountain. It was pretty cool to see how the map acted when the intended terrain was missing. These spike balls here in the middle are supposed to funnel down into a little circle, but with no terrain, they just flop aimlessly on the metal flooring, and I thought that was pretty funny. I also found this rock man who called me a chunky monkey, which I took extremely personal, so I decided to decimate him over and over again, leaving him in an infinite death loop. I experimented with other forms of destruction too. A specific upgrade on the snake transformation creates large holes when doing downward punches, but unfortunately, it was not faster than the elephant, which was absolutely carrying this entire process. If you're wondering why you're seeing random flying chunks of the map, it's because sometimes the terrain got into weird shapes and left suspended. The trunk would have a hard time picking them up sometimes, so I just had to leave them be, but I personally think it makes the whole place look a lot cooler, like everything's stuck in slow motion, or that I'm the honored one. But eventually, I started tearing down the Banana Mountain. It was at this point I truly realized how stupid this idea was, but I was way too far in to stop now. Little by little, the final piece was destroyed and it was done. The entire map had been leveled, leaving nothing but a cold dark metal island stranded in a bright atmosphere. I'm glad I picked the Hilltop Layer, since the other layers which had more terrain had very disrupting and unappealing visuals to me. Here is the completely destroyed map in the map view. With the little bits and pieces hovering around, it kinda looks like someone got a weirdly shaped pizza and left crumbs everywhere. I went on to explore the empty lands left of the Hilltop Layer, starting with the town. Each character and important part of the town had its own pedestal, which was actually a pretty cool detail. The golden cactus also remained hovering in the air and was actually one of the largest replenishable terrains left on the map. A cool detail I only noticed by destroying everything. Also, this rock almost said skibbity, and I almost lost my mind. Next, I found this group of rock people who typically invite you to reach a banana stranded above them in a cave ceiling, but this time there was no cave, nor was there even a mountain. Fortunately, the banana they referred to was still dangling in the air above, so I was able to use the snake mode to reach it. It was kind of silly how the NPCs don't really react to their entire home being destroyed. Next, I parkoured up using a cannon and transformation chaining to the original spawn point of the layer and got a pretty neat view. When you look at the layer from above, it looks kind of pretty with all the emptiness, I'm not gonna lie. Next, I revisited the spike balls and found another source of infinite terrain, which was nice. One of my favorite things I discovered was this little course engraved into the ground. Originally serving purpose to show off the surf turf ability in an underground cave, it was now fully revealed and very bare. It was cool to see how the map was designed with this before the terrain was added. I went over to visit Cranky Kong and let him enjoy his view for a little bit before knocking him back down to the ground level to give him a reality check. Cranky Kong, you're my goat, but I can't let you have that much aura all the time. Then I went over to the remains of the Banana Mountain and did a little bit of movement tech to find my way to the floating cube which couldn't be destroyed. Again, there are stray spike ball launchers which are doing nothing but dropping these things everywhere again. Finally, I checked out this metal bit I intentionally didn't destroy because I wanted to see how it looked floating at the end, and it was kind of cool. I also discovered you could see the destructive stats, and my hilltop stats were through the roof. Either way, that's a destroyed map right there. Completely flat with some cool structures remaining, but overall, very pretty in my opinion. I'm curious about you guys. What other layers would you guys want to see destroyed? Leave it down in the comments below. Also, if you have any cool Donkey Kong Bananza challenge ideas, make sure to leave those in the comments as well. I plan to do a bunch of silly fun challenges and even learn how to speedrun the game over on my Twitch, where I'm live multiple times a week, so make sure to go follow that, and I should catch you when I'm live streaming. Either way, I appreciate you watching this dumb challenge I came up with in Donkey Kong Bananza. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next weird challenge or speedrun that we do. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Peace!